So in this video, we're going to talk about millennials and the current economic system. But first, I want to tell you guys a story. And this is a story about a high school bully. So there was this high school bully. He was the classic, really big athlete, jock, cool kid that was just bigger than everyone else, okay? And because he was bigger than everyone else, he was able to push everyone else around. He was able to make fun of everyone else because he was bigger, stronger. No one else could do anything to him, correct? Whatever his motive was, whether it's sometimes the bully feels insecure, right? And sometimes the bullies just want to watch the world burn. Okay? Like the Joker, right? Joker from Dark Knight, that's what that quote's from. And so whatever his motive was, he was just picking on kids all the time. And so one time, he picked on this really, tall, really skinny kid, really lanky kid, but, really nice kid. He was picking on him. He was calling him names Twick. He was shoving him around, shoving him into lockers, pushing him out of the way, calling him Anna for anorexic because he was really skinny. And so what do you think happened in this situation here? What do you think happened? Now usually there's two things that happens. 99% of the time when someone gets bullied, they take it, they move on, they get a little bit sad, they talk to their friends about how big of a bully this person is. They tell the teachers, but they can't do much. They'll have a talk with the bully, but he's going to keep bullying everyone. Right? That's usually what happens 99% of the time when there's some sort of bullying that goes on. Okay? But then there's this kid that did something a little bit different. This is an analogy for business and entrepreneurship. Okay? So this kid that was skinny got picked on all the time. You know what he did? Instead of complaining, doing all that stuff, just continuously, even sometimes he would defend himself, be like, whatever, he'd yell back at the bully, try and push him, but he couldn't really do anything. So one time, once after that happened, after he had had enough from this bully, 6 months. He took 6 months where all he did every single day was eat perfectly, eat tons of protein and steak and all the big food and work out 2 hours a day, every single day from, right after exams to, right when school started next year, a few months in, 6 months. And you know what? This skinny kid met the bully again 6 months later. Now this was a tall, skinny kid who was no longer skinny. This kid had put on 40, 50 pounds. Now sure, he wasn't exactly the most lean guy in the world, but he became a big, he was stronger than the bully. He was bigger than the bully. And so what do you think that did? What do you think the bully did to this guy that he could no longer push around? He didn't push him around anymore. This tall, skinny kid was no longer bullied. In fact, the bully looked up to this guy a little bit. This guy put himself in a position of power. He was powerless before against this bully. Powerless. But you know how you change that? How to get respected is to put yourself in a position of power. No one else is going to come along and cure all your problems. There's no white knight in shining armor that's going to come along and save you and give you a better life. It's on you. And that's what this story is about. And that's kind of what it's about with the economy right now. So that's a true story, by the way. That's actually, I don't really reveal this stuff too much. I had a pretty severe eating disorder when I was in grade 9. I was 6'2", about 128 pounds or so. And that's a true story. Over 1 6-month span, I ate perfectly. I know I don't look like it right now. I'm about 200 pounds right now, but I bulked up to about 175, and I was in really good shape, 180 pounds back in grade 10, grade 11. And that's what I did. Put on 50 pounds. And guess what? The bully didn't make fun of me anymore. Now, I didn't really get bullied. I was exaggerating a lot of that stuff. Yeah, sure, he did shove me and push me, but I wasn't too heartbroken about that stuff. I didn't take it to heart or anything like that. I wasn't one of those people that gets really sad after I get pushed into a locker or, get called names or whatever. I decided to change. The moral of this video is it shouldn't be change when other people make fun of you. It's put yourself in a position where even if you get made fun of, who cares? Who cares? Even if the guy would have called me Twig or something after I'd put on the 50 pounds, I know I wasn't. And I could probably, beat his ass if I really wanted to. And so I'm going to relate that to the economic system here, because guess what? Right now, I'm a fan of capitalism. I'm a fan of socialist aspects as well and things along those lines. But we're in a system of capitalism right now, and we're at a point now where I completely agree where it is really tough for a lot of millennials that want to be employees for the rest of their lives. The job market's really tough. No matter what your parents say, your parents probably say you aren't working hard enough. You're lazy. I mean, sometimes that's true. a lot of millennials are lazy, just because the parents, they had to walk to work and it was uphill both ways, and it was through a foot of snow for 12 months of the year, correct? And that's what your parents would say. Now, things were a little bit tougher back then. I mean, not everyone had really nice cars or anything, and air conditioning and all that stuff, but still, most people these days are working hard, and the current system is not really working out right now for the middle class, especially young people in the middle class right now that want to be employees forever. There's no longer that one single employee income. If it was, back then it was like factory jobs and some retail jobs and so on, where you could support a family on some of those jobs. Now you need two of those. You need two full-time jobs to support a family. And so this is what I want to talk about. The economic system right now is kind of like that bully. It's like that bully, whatever his reasoning is, right? If you are not in a position of power, it fucking sucks. And I've been in that spot too, economically. I mean, I was in that spot just a few years ago, 3, 4, 5, I guess even before, it was before my corporate job and after I quit. I mean, I wasn't making a lot of money, and it sucked. I was working all the time, but I was having trouble supporting myself. And that's what a lot of you guys out there probably watching this are like too. You're working probably 8 hours a day. You should be working more than that. If you want to become really successful, you should be working more than that. You should be working 14, 15 hours a day if you want to become a successful entrepreneur. I mean, trust me, that's what it usually takes. But 8 hours a day, that's usually what it took in the 70s and 80s and 60s to support a family. 8, 9 hours a day. That's it. And so, actually, there was this report that came out recently that I think that the average employee millionaire works 51 hours. Meanwhile, the average employee works 42 hours. So there actually is a correlation between you working and odds of you becoming a millionaire, hours worked and odds of you becoming a millionaire, but that's a whole different story here. So the economic system sucks. It's a bully. It favors people at the top. It favors the few people at the top. So we're talking about, the economic system's the bully, and all of the bully's friends are like the people at the very top. That's what it's like. I mean, the more money you have, now I like the system, trust me, I like the system. I like that you can climb up the ladder if you really want to, more than in any other country in the world, any other countries. I live in Canada, same in the United States. But what I'm trying to say here is there's a few people at the top the system's great for. And I'm finally I'm not at the top right now. At the top you need 400K, right? So I'm going to get there soon. But, that's who it favors. The more money you have, the easier it is to make more money. You see that in anything. Think about just simple math here. If you have $1 million, you invest it get even a 5% return, you're making 50 grand a year from doing nothing, just investing your money. Meanwhile, same person working hard has a $1,000 portfolio making 5%, they pick up $50 a year. So it's easier to keep making more money when you have more money. That's the current system. So you guys need to get yourself out of there. Now, what are the options for you guys to get yourself out of there? For most of you, it's just either asking for a raise, getting a better job somewhere, taking 2 jobs, saving up, investing, starting a side business. But here's the deal, is that you want to become really, really wealthy. I think I was actually seeing a report recently that it was like 63% of the people in the 1% own their own business or own equity in a main business that they have, somewhere in there. I don't know the validity of that. I'm going to follow that up with it in another video. But you really want to become wealthy, you need to start your own business. That's the way it goes. Because there's no factory jobs anymore where you can support your family. There's none of that shit anymore. You can't do that. You got to think differently. So whether it's just not even a business where you have to employ people, even if it's just a self-employed business, whatever it may be, you guys got to start doing that right now. I'm talking right now, you guys got to start thinking about that. If you guys, most of my audience between 18 and 34 years old, this is the perfect time for you guys to start a business. Because guess what? Employee, middle class, economic environment, that's all going downhill. Just as time goes on, robots are going to be taking the jobs, blah, 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 and rich people are making more money now than ever, right? So we're in this system. Instead of complaining about the system, okay? You can complain about the system, which is what will keep you poor and unhappy the rest of your life. Or make your way up the system and change it yourself. Just like the bully. Remember? The story, this is the whole moral of the story here. There's 2 things that you can do. When you get bullied, you can either make yourself bigger, stronger, faster, so that you can pick on that guy if you really wanted to. Same thing with the economic system. You can sit there complaining about the bully, complain to all your friends, whatever, complain. Or you do something about it and you can change the entire system. Guess what? And here's the deal, is that when that bully picks on you, he's also picking on your friends too. He's picking on everyone close to you. So if you're able to change your life so that the bully doesn't pick on you, the bully's not going to pick on anyone else close around you too. That applies for the economy too. I call this, there's actually a really great talk that I have in my Wealth Accelerator called the rising tide. Rising tide lifts all boats, except most people think of that as the economy as a whole. You know, rising tide lifts all boats, so it's trickle-down economics and blah, 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 right? If the rich people do well, everyone does well. That's, not necessarily true, right? I mean, not all the time. Sometimes it can be, sometimes it's not, but I apply that personally to your life. If you're to make $1 million this year, guess what? Your life's going to get better. Your partner's life's going to get better. Maybe you're able to give $1,000, a few $1,000 to your parents, your kids. Maybe all of a sudden, your cousin's not going to be able to eat food, has to go on food stamps. You can pay for their rent for 1 month. You can make everyone else's lives better. It's possible. And that's what I like to think about too. I got all the socialists out there saying, well, this is your way of justifying capitalism. Well, you know what? That's the system we're in, and that's a system that's worked. Now it's starting to not work for most people, for the middle class. And so that's why you got to climb your way up. Because guess what? The system's not changing in the near future. The system's not changing. I like capitalism as a whole. There's flaws, obviously. And I would prefer some sort of capitalist system over heavy socialist systems. Now I'm actually, so I'm in Canada right now, and so over the past 10 years, we've went from being semi-capitalist to, now top income tax rates like 60%. We're closing in on 60%, and sales taxes too. I mean, like 90% of your income can go to tax sometimes in certain scenarios if you're an employee. So, but what I'm trying to say here is that you got to climb your way up the ladder, up the economic ladder. This economic system sucks. I went through it. Jobs are a dime a dozen. I don't even know if that's the right expression. Jobs are a dime a dozen. And sometimes, you know what? Even if you're able to get a good paying job, most of these good paying jobs are now they're in cities like San Francisco, LA, New York, in Toronto, in London, where the cost of living, I was looking this up too. In San Francisco, lower income is $100K. $100K. If you make $100,000, you are in the lower middle class in San Francisco. And so when you have 30 million people in California and 30 million people in New York, even if you have a good job that pays $50K, you're going to be poor still. And so, I'm trying to drill into you guys that you can't rely on some employer. You can't rely on a boss anymore. You can't rely on anything anymore. You have to rely on yourself. That's what it all comes down to. You got to rely on yourself. You're the only one that can change your life. Are you willing to change it? Are you willing to make a change today? And that's what this is about too. So, this economic system is a bully. What do you guys think of this video? Do you guys agree with me? Now, here's what I want to say is that, again, I just want to make this very clear. I like capitalism. I think that is probably the best system out there. Although there's some hybrids out there, like I think Canada is somewhat a hybrid right now. There's some areas in Europe which are hybrids, which are very good too. I like universal healthcare. That's all good. I love that. It's just, I think that it's better than going the very socialist route, where there's no innovation. People aren't motivated. They might be a little bit happier, but I'm more of a fan of innovation. I don't like, and then there's the very far side of the left where it's, communism, and people were saying that worked in Venezuela, right? Was it Venezuela? Like 15 years ago, they were saying Venezuela was going to be one of the wealthiest countries in the world and outpace the United States for wealth. And then now they have hyperinflation going on right now, and the economy's collapsing, and so is the political structure. So, I mean, That's just my opinion on that. I'll talk a little, I don't want to talk too much about politics, but this might be a good time to just kind of say, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about world news and some political stuff in different videos. I'm going to keep making these entrepreneurship, finance, investing related videos every day, but I kind of want to talk about other stuff too, because it's important to me, I guess. And it'll help you open your mind to some other viewpoints on the world. So that's going to wrap this video up. Any questions or comments? Leave them down below. If you're interested, check out Stock Market Program or Wealth Accelerator. Links down below. If you want to check those out. How many hours of content do I have up on there now? I think in the VIP program, if you include everything, all my courses and programs, I probably have close to 20 hours, 18 hours. I'm not quite sure. Somewhere around there. But yeah, I guess where do I want to leave this video? So it takes time, it takes effort, it takes patience that 95% of people don't have. Because that's the other thing too, is that bullies you. Okay, even if you do want to improve your life, it's going to take a lot of time. You're going to have to make big life changes that most people aren't willing to do. And if you are willing to do them, that's why you become successful. Doing the things that no one else wants to do. Be part of that 5% of people that are able to live their dream life. Or the 1%. Be the part of the 1%, okay? Well, you only got one life, guys. You only got one life. And you got to make it as good as possible. Make yourself comfortable, do everything you want to do, live a happy life. A lot of the times, you got to climb up the economic ladder to do that. And so, I hope you guys find your way, and hopefully I can help you guys too. So, thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people, and I'll see you guys in the next video.